Hello and welcome to the Docker Compose. Just before we see what is Docker Compose, let's go ahead and see the Dockerfile. The Dockerfile is where you have defined your environment of your application. When you build your Dockerfile, you get an image, and when you run the image, you get a container. So this is how Dockerfile works. Dockerfile really helps in creating the environment for your application. On the other hand, what if you have to orchestrate more than a container for your application? Add many services to your application, run in various environments like development environment, test environment, prod environment, distinguishing your services based on the environment and run together your applications across environments. What if you want to start and stop everything in a single command? What if you want to define and orchestrate all the containers as part of your application together in a single environment? The answer is Docker Compose. So what is Docker Compose? Docker Compose uses Dockerfile to create your application environment. On the other hand, you can define all the other containers and services that are required for your applications in a Compose file. And Docker Compose file is nothing but an YAML file. You can go ahead and configure your application services in a Docker Compose file and then use them across. Let's head over to the Docker Compose file that we already have. Do you remember, as part of section 1, we have generated an application called Store App and Invoice App. Let's pick Store App, then go inside src main, and as you can see here, this is a Docker file, which is nothing but from a JDK8 image. It sets up the environment variable and then says, okay, the application is gonna start with this value, and it exposes 8080 port, and then it collects whatever var that you have, that is the builded application, and then deploys it inside this folder, that is the home folder. On the other hand, if you go ahead and see app.yaml, this is nothing but a Docker Compose file. Don't worry about the semantics and syntax here, we will see in much detail in the next videos. So if you take a look here, you've defined a services, and the services has an app, that is your basic application, which is Store App, and the environment variable for the app, followed by the ports in which it has to expose and run. On the other hand, you also define your MySQL and see how you're extending a file, MySQL YAML, which is nothing but another Docker Compose file. So if we go ahead and see MySQL YAML, this is another Docker Compose file which specifies the image, the environment, the port, and the volumes if you want. Let's go back to app.yaml, and followed by the third one, which is nothing but jhipster registry. If you remember correctly, we have run jhipster registry in section 1 to start our microservice application. So it extends the file from this jhipster registry file, and you name the service as jhipster registry, and you also pass in the environment variable here. This environment variable will be used inside this YAML file. We will see much detail about it in the future videos. So what you can do with Docker Compose? You can start, stop, and rebuild services with Docker Compose. You can view the status of the running services with Docker Compose. And of course, you can stream the log output of the running services. Finally, you can run one off command on a service. So if you have multiple services that are running, you can go ahead and stop only one service if you want to using Docker Compose. So it also gives you a flexibility of maintaining them as a whole or going towards a single part of the application service. So what are the advantages? The main advantage of Docker Compose is easier to set up multiple environments. So if you have an application and that application has to run in your test environment, your development environment, production environment, that needs certain services to run together with it. And each and every time you need not want to deploy those services individually or start those services individually. You can use Docker Compose file to compose them into a single application, single YAML file, and then start and stop based on that. So of course you have one application to run, you have single application to run. So your consideration should be writing one YAML file that controls your entire application architecture. Finally, it's very much easier to test the application since you can start the entire application environment with one command, run your test, and then stop services.